Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. And of course, this is my Assassin's Creed Black Flag review. Now, it is one of the best Assassin's Creed games, but not really because it is an Assassin's Creed game. But yeah, the thing is, I actually do love this game. This was one of my first Assassin's Creed games that I ever played. I only played Assassin's Creed 1 slightly before that. This also happens to be the most viewed video on my channel. Black Flag's mission is the most viewed video on my channel. So it is ironic that this is the review that I forgot to do. I finished this series ages ago, but I never did a review of it. So I'm doing it now. So as usual, I have divided the review into three categories. That is story, lore and characters, gameplay, world and presentation. Now, moving to the first category, that is story, lore, and characters. Now, in terms of the story, of course, the story of Black Flag at this point, pretty much everyone knows. It's an outsider perspective where Edward Kenway isn't an assassin, nor is he really a Templar. He's just a guy who gets caught up in this conflict. So what happens is that he was attacking a ship, and that ship got shipwrecked along with his own ship, and then he gets washed ashore with an assassin who has deserted and was going to the Templars. And of course, he kills that assassin and puts on his robes and, takes that guy's place and goes to the Templars. Then he gets betrayed by the Templars and he, does his stuff. I'm not going to go through the entire story. The point being that this actually provides a very good perspective that we had never seen before. Like before Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, we always have seen either the assassin or the Templar perspective. Like we were playing as assassins, but especially in Assassin's Creed 3, we did play as Templars for a brief time, and even Haytham Kenway had a huge role in the game. So it was like we were seeing those as a first-hand perspective, but for the first time we were outsiders to this conflict. So that alone for me raises this game above most of the Assassin's Creed stories, because there is a lot to be learned here. There is a lot to be learned about the Creed, about what Edward believes about the Creed. Like he says that it simply seems like the beginning of the wisdom, not its complete form, which is essentially what Al-Mualim was trying to teach Altair. Even though Al-Mualim is... You know what, I'm not going to spoil Assassin's Creed 1. I'm still playing it on my channel. But even outside that, there was the whole Sage storyline, which of course in the later games went nowhere because Ubisoft. But that doesn't change the fact that that was a really good storyline. At the time when it was presented to us, it was shocking. And it was kind of a shock on the levels of Assassin's Creed 2 that we saw with, Minerva talking to Desmond. So yeah, it was an unexpected turn of events that is one of the reasons why I actually consider Black Flag to be an integral part of Assassin's Creed. Not because of its gameplay, but because of what it did with the story. It provided us with a perspective that we didn't have before. Now, in terms of Edward Kenway is the second favorite character, is my second favorite character in Assassin's Creed. Of course, his son is my favorite character in Assassin's Creed. So, either way, I gotta thank the guy. So, yeah, he is a really good character. Over the game, of course, he starts off as a brash, ruthless pirate. He is a pirate, for lack of a better term. All he does is, for his own glory, for his own riches. Like, all he wants is to earn some money, earns a fortune, go back to his own homeland and live with his wife. But of course, things don't quite go that way. But over the game, he learns more. He learns about other people. He learns to, care about other people. He cares about Adewale. He actually respects Adewale. And he forms a lot of friendships along the way. And so all that said, in the end of Black Flag, when the whole sequence plays out, when we see all that he has lost, but of course that his daughter is now coming to him, and all that he is about to gain, it's a really emotional ending. So in the story department, I honestly have no complaints. Not with any of the pacing either. Because this game, I feel like this is one of the best paced open world games. Like at no point in the game do I feel like the story is dragging. It's always like, yeah, done. Just keep moving on with the story. The story never slows down. The story never overloads you with content. So yeah, for me, this is a really good story. Maybe still not in the level of Red Dead Redemption 2 or Assassin's Creed Revelations, but it is a good story nonetheless. So I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10 in this category. Now, moving on to gameplay. Gameplay is so fun because, of course, the gameplay is not really Assassin's Creed. It's not, stealth. It's not hiding in plain sight. It's not parkour. It is the pirate stuff. That's why we love Assassin's Creed Black Flag. We have to be honest about that, right? That's the reason why Black Flag was a huge success, was because it was a pirate game first, and of course it still was an Assassin's Creed game beneath all that. And I would say that there was a lot less Assassin's Creed stuff in this game than any of the previous games, but it is still a lot more than what we are getting now. So yeah, don't even have a doubt in your mind that this is an Assassin's Creed game, because it still has a lot more of that content than what we are getting right now. So yeah, there's that. But considering that though, it was so fun because there is nothing quite like it, right? You have Sea of Thieves, which is another pirate game. We have some games here and there who did the pirate stuff, but we have nothing quite like this. Like, this is extremely unique. And that is one of the reasons why many people were excited about Skull and Bones. Now, I don't know what the hell is going on with that game. I only saw snippets of it somewhere. I'm not going to name where because I highly doubt I can. But the thing is, I don't even know. The last I heard from my friends, it was like they were overhauling the game somehow. So I don't know what's happening with that. But back to this game though. This is actually a very unique system. If anyone wants to do ship combat in the future, they are going to reference Black Flag at some point. Because this is just that good. This is innovation in the levels of what Assassin's Creed 1 did in terms of its movement system. So of course, a movement system is much more common in a video game than a ship combat system. So of course, Assassin's Creed Black Flag has not really been copied all that much. But I do believe that if there was to be a game like this, this is the blueprint. This right here is the blueprint. So yeah, it is a really good gameplay system. That being said though, the combat. I have to talk about the combat. The combat, it works. It is functional. It works. But it is somehow deadlier than Odyssey. You know, Odyssey with all the, the spear and, the glowing spear of powerfulness and all the stupid shit that happens in Odyssey. Black Flag is still more deadlier. Like, you're making shish kebab out of the people you're fighting. Like, seriously, Edward with 2 swords is just extremely dangerous. So, yeah, the combat could have done with a more realistic approach. Maybe, having a bit less of a timing window with the parrying, better parrying systems and all that. But you know what? I'm not going to give that all that much shit, because the other parts of the game are just so good that honestly, even though the combat kind of is meh, it's fine. It's really not that big a deal. So all that said, what would I actually score this game? I would give it 8 out of 10 in gameplay, because yes. Now notice I didn't talk about stealth here because we are a pirate. Stealth is barely an option here. Like, stealth is barely a necessity. Yes, there are still tailing missions that you will insta-fail if you get detected. But it's fine, really. Stealth is not that big a deal in this game. It's more combat and the ship stuff. Now moving on to the next category, that is world and presentation. Now this is the best open world in a video game, period. For me at least, in my own opinion. This is quite possibly the best open world game. I've never seen an open world that is this big and still this populated with stuff. Like, there's so much stuff to do, so many forts, and you may say that it gets repetitive. Well, that is true for any open world game. What matters is what it actually does with the open world. It looks stunning. Like, even now, yes, the game is old. You have to remember, this is a game that came out in 2013. And unless you stare right into the character models, the faces especially, this game doesn't look that out of date. It looks something that came out maybe 2 or 3 years ago. That just shows how good the Anvil engine can be. And of course, we got proof of that when it was further upgraded with Unity. But that just shows my point. This is a really good game. In terms of the graphics, in terms of the whole atmosphere that it created. The water is beautiful. Ubisoft Singapore was, of course, responsible for water, and they have been responsible for water in every game after Assassin's Creed Black Flag, I believe. So they do water really good. Like this should be like the industry standard for water. This water is brilliant. The water systems in this, the hurricanes that are coming onto you, the rogue waves, everything about this game, everything about the atmosphere, the world is brilliant. And you know what makes that even better? The music. Like, I honestly, I had this discussion with a few people on Twitter, and I still maintain the position that Black Flag, even though it's not like the other Assassin's Creed scores, it doesn't have the Ezio's family or anything like that, it still is really good in what it does. It's a really good score. So yeah, for me, music is beautiful in this game. Also, I have to, press on this fact. Even the cutscene presentation, the way the story is presented, of course, it was mocapped a lot more than the newer games. Like, I really miss that. I really miss a cutscene just being a cutscene. No generic choices, no dead ends, like nothing like that. No choices that have no impacts. Like, this is a linear story, and it was presented as such, and honestly, it was presented in a really good way. But in terms of world and presentation, this is a 10 out of 10. Like, if anyone ever is making a game, if you want to understand what an atmosphere is, what a good atmosphere is, what a good world looks like, what you should do in an open world, this is the game you should be referencing. Don't reference Odyssey or something like that. This is the game. This right here is the game. Just absolutely beautiful. So for me, at least, it's 10 out of 10. So, of course, before I go to the summary, this is the bonus section of the video. So you get more of the video. Congrats. But the reason why I'm putting this on bonus section is because I don't really want to include all this in the actual review score, because honestly, all of this doesn't even matter in the game, but since it is still there, I need to talk about them. And the biggest thing in this bonus section is the multiplayer. Because yes, this is a time where Assassin's Creed still had multiplayer. Now the multiplayer is pretty much a standard affair of what we got before, just slightly improved. Actually a lot more improved. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. The multiplayer that we got in Brotherhood Revelations 3 were more improved, and then we got Assassin's Creed 4's multiplayer. Now the real bummer in this is that we never got ship combat as multiplayer. Now, of course, Ubisoft has since announced a game that I talked about earlier in the review, Skull and Bones, but we don't know when that is coming out. So, yeah. Anyway, all that said though, there are many more things like Edward's fleet, then, the ship upgrades, everything like that. Then there were the legendary ships, like on every corner of the map, there is an incredibly difficult ship that you can go and defeat. So all that, if you consider all that, this game has a lot. And honestly, this is something, if I included this in the review score, probably would bump up the review score a little bit. But I'm not gonna, because honestly, I just want to rate the story and the game as I played it. Because I honestly didn't play multiplayer all that much. But the rest of the world, yeah. That was brilliant. But that being said, I do have to talk about the modern day. Now, modern day is present in the game, and while their story is okay-ish, the gameplay sucks, and of course the world is literally just an office. The reason why I'm not really affecting my score based on the modern day is because it almost feels like a secondary part of the game rather than the primary focus. Like, the primary focus obviously is the historical aspect. Now, that considered, I do like the modern day, and I do also dislike the fact that it sort of pushed it aside, and that is going to play into my final score, when I finally score the game. Now, moving on to the summary. Now, I love Black Flag, and I disagree with anyone who says that it is not an Assassin's Creed game. It is different, for sure, but it does a hell of a lot more than games like Odyssey or Syndicate. Hell, even Unity. and even Origins, I would say. Like, this game does a lot for the lore. Yes, the story never went anywhere, but that's not the fault of this game. This game told a story that, gave me hope for this franchise moving forward. So, yeah, this is a really good story. This is a really good game. And yes, I know the gameplay isn't really Assassin's Creed, but let's be honest, it's still a lot more Assassin's Creed than what we are getting right now. So, I'll take that. I'll take that any day over whatever we are getting now. So, there is that. So, all that said, though, what would be my final score for the game? So, now my personal final score for this game is a 9 out of 10. Now, of course, it is the exact average that we get if we add the 3 categories, but I still had it in my mind to actually give it a 10 out of 10, like just bump it up because I love it so much. But no, that 1 point is because of the modern day. That's why it loses that 1 point, because the modern day wasn't as good. So yeah, the final score is 9 out of 10. Now, before I go any further, I would just like to say if you enjoyed this video, then consider pressing that like button, and also do subscribe to my channel for more content, because this is a YouTube channel. There is more content coming. If you subscribe, that would make me happy. So yeah, I was at 98, but now I'm at 97. So I'm sad now. Make me happy. Subscribe. And also, stay tuned to my channel for more content. I was planning on playing GTA Online, and I am saying this in the video in case some of my subscribers watch it. The reason why I'm not putting GTA Online on my channel is because I played for 2 days. Not a single lobby. I didn't find a single lobby without a cheater. And I'm not going to play that. I'm going to play something else. Just stay tuned to my channel. Something is coming. You will love it. Probably. I'm assuming. I'm hoping. So all that said though, I will leave you guys in peace.